Take them all back home to church. Take them back all home. Ladies and gentlemen, Howie Comen. Howie Comen, our great private detective, one of America's best private detectives, if not the best himself. Private investigator. He's also commentator and host of Shades of Humanity. God bless you, sir. It's a great honor to have you on the air with us again tonight, sir.
It's always an honor, Ken. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to work with you. I mean, every week you're into something very important that your regular news sources, they're not interested in. Dom's mom, this situation here, there's no news. There was no TV news on the I-95 corridor, child kidnapping, and it's all out there in like 3 articles.
Yes.
And it's disheartening, but we're able to shed a small light on these things, and we're hoping that we can make it grow.
Now, Howie, who are these lords of I-95? Who are these people who are causing human trafficking all up and down I-95?
Well, a lot of them are coming out of Mexico and South America. They're coming up through, where there is no wall, and they're coming through. You heard the president today. Girls are coming through, women with their mouths taped in the back of cars. They're not coming through the points of entry because there's security there.
Yeah.
And, people just don't seem to understand. Now, while I was doing a little bit of research, your area that you mentioned is a very high area in terms of child trafficking. What happens is they go up and down I-95, because from I-95, you're going from Florida to Maine, and all parts east and, west from there by coming up that corridor. And by slipping from one state to another, they're on their own, and they're in cars, smugglers as well. It's easy to smuggle stuff up and down 95. But what I found that was fascinating, go ahead, Ken, I'm sorry.
No, because because a lot of people don't understand that a third of America is along the I-95 corridor.
Right.
Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, you can go on up the Beltway. It's just, and once your child, it only takes, 8 seconds for your child to be taken?
Yeah, it's very quick, very quick.
Once they take your child, you disappear. Am I right?
Yeah, and you have no idea. There's nothing you can do. You don't know where the child is. If you look at Adam Walsh's son, they were in a Walmart or Kmart or something.
Yeah.
I think it was in Florida years ago. And he turned around and the son was gone. They found him dead. And that happens quite frequently. But from where you are, in the area D.C., according to I found from January 1st, 2017 to March 21st, 2017, according to the Virginia State Police and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Virginia ranked number 1.
Wow.
Followed by Florida, Ohio, Florida, Texas, California, Ohio, New York, and Illinois was number 7. Number 8 was the Richmond area. Number 10 was Northern Virginia, and number 9 was Massachusetts. So your area, in particular Virginia, was the number 1 during this time frame, and this came from your Virginia State Police. Now the problem is we were very fortunate to have that young lady on with her experience and her background, because it pointed out a lot of important things. Now, I want to point out a few other things too. What these traffickers will do, often they'll come into an area and they'll look for children 12 to 14 years old in the malls, children that are unhappy with their home life, children that are abused, children that are susceptible to these type things. And what they do lots of times is they'll bring one of the young ladies already in the lifestyle to befriend them. And then they introduce them, as the young lady said earlier, and that person gives them things, talks with them, and these young people see it as an escape. And then that they bond with that person where they're not bonding with their mother and their father. And before you know it, they're out of there. And once they're in the lifestyle, they're in the lifestyle. Now, one of the things that my local co-host, working with you and I here in South Carolina, in the southeastern regional, Rocky D, who was a local talk show host here for a good number of years. He's been about 40 years in the industry. He's teamed up with something called Erase, and their idea is to build a shelter for these children. The problem is that young lady is aware of, these children have been in the lifestyle, they're hooked on drugs, they're all of a sudden, you can't expect them to go back to a 12, 14, 16-year-old lifestyle. And consequently, what the concept that Rocky has been involved with, and there's some people here in Charleston, is to take some of these vacant buildings and build a shelter. These children can't go into your home or my home because they'll kill you. They're of that lifestyle. When they're being forced for a period of time, to do what they have to do and earn $500 a day or get beaten, they become accustomed to that negativity. They become animals themselves. So it takes special care and special handling. And we're hoping on April 28th to have a program here that, Rocky had talked about on our show last weekend.
Yeah.
And what we're hoping is that we can bring in the political leaders, the state house, the legislature, all different political offices to this discussion, this meeting, to try and affect a lot of what the young lady down in Orlando was talking about, to come up with more knowledge to law enforcement and develop a team that can deal with these things. And, as I've studied this stuff, it's horrendous, the things that are going on.
Howie, there are people who don't even have a nail tip of the experience in law enforcement and private detective work that you have. And there is a state like North Carolina right now that's suffering. And if you could not only expound upon what North Carolina is going through, but how North Carolina could use someone like you to help them in the combating of this dangerous and deadly trafficking problem that we have.
These things need to be coordinated up and down 95. It really needs to be coordinated throughout the United States. People like the young lady, Denise, I believe was her name.
That's correct.
People need to get together. We need to form a team. You and I, we already have a team. We've got people in place, Mary, Bonnie, and there are many others. We're bringing Rocky in. We're hoping that we'll have some people in Seattle that we can do regional shows and we can deal with these matters. It's not going to do it in a minute and a half on a national TV news show.
Exactly.
Even 48 hours, they're not dealing with these things. They're dealing with such garbage that, we need to expound upon what we're doing. Now, for example, what I'm going to propose, once we get now that we're doing YouTube, once we get the YouTube video of Denise's discussion, Rocky's discussion, and our discussion, I want to send that to media here in Charleston. I want to send it to media in Virginia. What I would like to do is maybe eventually we could have a column where these things are discussed locally in all these different locations so people can also read about it. It's a 4-pronged media approach to make people aware of what you and I are doing, and Bonnie and Mary, and getting the word out, not just a 2-minute, a glimpse, but to continue the effort to build the team and keep the team in place. What you and I are doing internationally, we need to do regionally. And that's
Exactly.
something that I'm working on to be able to do that. We have interest in Seattle. We have interest in Detroit. We have interest in Charleston. We have interest up in New England. It's just a question of getting the finances. And I think if we have lawyers to advertise, this is their bread and butter, doing something for their community instead of these, call me 999-9999. They need to be advertising on our show, something
Exactly.
important, and we need to get the word out. So that's how I and you. It's not me. It's you and
Exactly.
I. It's the
Exactly.
team. It's
Yeah.
God's team, in my opinion.
Exactly. You mentioned the fact that we talked earlier about Florida. We talked earlier about Virginia. North Carolina has a problem. Um, Eventually, we're going to come to a point where we realize that government can't do it all, and that God never intended government to do it all. What can the American people do? What can someone in Seattle or Los Angeles or ATL or in a small town in Texas, what can we do to change the pace of human trafficking in America?
We have a whole load of private detectives throughout the world. I've worked with them, I've worked with organizations. There are a bunch of retired FBI, CIA, Interpol. I've worked with a KGB Major General retired on a case in Moscow from South Carolina. I didn't go to Moscow. We have people on the ground all over the world. There's no reason why we can't offer support in these areas on investigations. In your case, which is one of my top priorities now, is to solve that case. We brought anti-terrorism law enforcement from Ireland into DC, but they were not interested in us working together. And that's got to stop. We have
Exactly.
enough people that can help with these cases, and I'm not taking no for an answer on your case from the Metropolitan Police and these other areas as well. We're journalists. I'm licensed by SLED. Nobody takes me out of a case in South Carolina. I'll get in their face. I've done it before. Now,
Howie,
I'm hoping to do the same thing in DC.
I'm hoping too. Howie, we love you dearly and we thank you so much for being on the air with us tonight. Howie Comen, you can find him at
Thank you.
ComenDetectives.com, ComenDetectives.com. A tremendous man of God and a
Thanks.
tremendous supporter to our family. We love him dearly, and there will be justice for Shanice. I can assure you that before my closing of eyes upon this earth. But I want to say to everyone else tonight who's tuned in that if you don't remember anything else we said tonight, and I appreciate Denise and I appreciate Howie, if you don't remember anything else that we said tonight, I hope that you do remember this, ladies and gentlemen, that it is time now to remember that God bless America. It is time now for America to bless God. We will see you next Monday night. Big show planned for Monday night, and I will tell you all about it on Monday night. For all of you who tuned in tonight, I thank you so much. Go out and change the world and donate to JVS Foundation. Mary Brockman, love you. Bonnie, Mrs. Biggs, and all the rest of you all, love you dearly. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next week. And for those who are tuning in on Sunday morning, 9:05 a.m., an American conservative's exploration of the inspired Word of God. Good night, and God bless you, each and every one.